Happy election day, everyone. I'm sure you're not stressed at all today. Good morning.
Yep, what a wonderful way to get November started. I didn't prepare any notes, but isn't it cool that we almost had 2020 the sequel? Almost.
Almost.
Now we have
Almost.
sort of the sequel. Basically the sequel.
Basically.
Just it's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
We're recording this on October 14th and I'm not stressed at all.
No, I actually feel great about how things are going to turn out.
You're fucking with me, right?
No, I really do think I have this delulu that everything's going to be fine. I really wholeheartedly think everything's going to be just fine.
Okay.
I know, right? I feel like I'm the only one in my life. Well, Brian's not stressed out, but he's a white cisgender man. He's not stressed.
Yeah.
But I'm fine. I'm it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. But I also don't have to see family like you do.
Yeah.
My family's a bunch of gays, so we're fine.
Yeah. I feel like honestly I've been avoiding seeing them. And probably will continue to do so until Thanksgiving. Just give a little buffer.
Yeah.
Because I don't know which way would be worse. If the right side wins or the horrible side wins.
Yeah, I don't know. People down here are preparing for Armageddon, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
Like the good old boys are all prepared for a takeover. I don't know. We're hearing
a takeover of what?
I don't know. There's we were talking to somebody. We weren't. I'm just keeping this person anonymous. Someone was talking to someone, and they were basically like, yeah, my town's ready. We got people assigned as medics. We got the firepower, and some of us are growers. And I was like, what do you think is gonna happen? My God, preppers on preppers on preppers. Oh, I think we should do a content warning, political discussion. We're talking about the election and how we feel about it, and also Thanksgiving, which can kind of be stressful too. So just letting you know.
Do we really need a content warning?
For sure. Some people don't want to hear this. If I was listening right now and my favorite podcasters were like, hey, we're talking about the election, I'd be like, see you next week, bud. Protecting my peace.
I mean, protect your peace all you want. Politics is going to do you regardless.
You? So true, though.
I'm just saying, I'll get on. You know what? This is the episode to get on my soapbox.
Okay.
It is a privilege to opt out of caring about the election.
Oh, for sure.
It is a privilege to choose not to worry about it. And that's not an attack. It's just true. I am trying to also have positive thoughts. Even though the darkness is creeping closer, I have to keep batting it back like it's going to be okay. But back to the growers. Where are the showers going? That's what I'd like to know.
I don't know. I think it's because I live in a very rural red town. Very red. To the point where the Democrats have spent 1% of their budget. It has to be on advertisement. There's 2 billboards we've seen so far. Very strategically placed because they're like, we're not gonna waste the funds here. Yeah. we're gonna strategically place this. But Atlanta and Georgia are 2 different places. 1,000%. Georgia turned blue because of Atlanta. Just 1,000%. And we're gonna just say it if Kamala wins, she wins because of Black women. Black women are literally banding together for this. And hell yeah.
I hope so.
I hope so.
I know they're banding together. I hope she wins is what I mean.
Me too.
I don't know. I don't understand what the preppers are prepping for. I don't know what they think will happen if Kamala wins. I don't know. It's just like you should kind of just be worried about your own people doing shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's
you
misplaced fear.
Right. Like what happened before. Like,
yeah.
Maybe.
Like maybe your brothers in Christ storming the Capitol again. Maybe you should worry about that.
Right. Yeah. There's been a big opinion of like voting third party because like I know you've seen like the wave of like we went in against Kamala, and it's like, okay, like let's be so for real, let's be adults. Voting third party means voting for Trump.
It's tough. Like I see both sides of that one
for sure,
because it's like people that say if you vote for either Republicans or Democrats, like you're saying you're okay with genocide. And it's like, yeah, in a vacuum, that's absolutely true. But it is also like, I feel like you have to kind of think about the grand scheme of things. And on one side, yes, you have a lawyer, basically a cop, who is basically saying, yeah, let's keep things exactly as they are now. And I'm really disappointed that the Brat Summer vibe did not translate into like progressive policies. Like she had that energy and is like, we're just going to keep shit the same.
Right.
I'm actually pro fracking now. And that's one side.
Right.
The other side is a literal felon and a couch fucker who,
oh my God,
are dead set on destroying the country, and like they will both genocide over there, but one side will also bring the genocide here. Like, let's be real.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think like I agree with the part where, it was like that people feel like if you vote blue, you're voting like pro genocide. And unfortunately, the numbers for third party that is like against genocide do not stand a chance.
No.
So whether you abstain from voting or you vote third party, someone pro genocide is gonna win. And it's kind of that like weighing does it do more harm than good? Like, does it do more harm than good to abstain? Like, or to vote third party? Like, yes, you have like your morality, like your moral obligation. Like, I morally am against this genocide, so I will not vote. But then it's like, okay, I also don't want to be responsible for this person winning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty much where I'm at with it. Like, what option will make me sleep better at night?
God, they're both so terrible. Like, not like terrible. Like, I'm not like I'm not like a hater against Kamal. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I am just not educated enough to be a hater. Like, let's just be honest. I'm just gonna be like so transparent about that. I am educated enough to be a Trump hater to just not be a big fan of him. Like, obviously, anyone that can read, I feel like understands that concept. But I just don't feel as though I'm educated enough to be like, these are her policies that I'm against. This is her history. Like this, and this. Like, but I know what my two options are, and I'm gonna pick the other option.
It's awful that there are only two options, because it's like a shit sandwich versus shit on a teeny tiny little cracker, basically.
Right.
It's upsetting. Like, I understand where people who are voting third party are coming from on that, because we should have more options.
For sure.
The whole like picking lesser of two evils is how we got here in the first place, because every time we've picked the lesser of two evils, the whole political system here has gone further and further to the right.
Right.
Every time. Like, there's shit that Obama won with in 2008 and 2012. I hope those years are right. But there's shit that he won with in his, like, on his platform and his policies and stuff that would not pass now.
Right.
And that's crazy.
God, that's so true. I think this is such a difficult topic because, like, we want to share what's going on in our world, right? Like, let's take a step back. Like, we are not a political podcast. We're not political journalists. We don't have any political education when it comes to like formal education, stuff like that. So before like everyone goes in the comments and are like, what are these like assholes talking about? They don't know what they're talking about. Literally, we are just talking about the media we have consumed and what is going on in where we live. Like, we live in the United States. This is the conversation that's been had in every single household. And we just happen to want to be talking about it, recording on a microphone. Like every other single freaking podcast right now that's doing the exact same thing. So
there are plenty of mediocre white men that have made a lot bigger platforms talking about this stuff that are less qualified than us.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I don't see why we need to justify it. It's our podcast. We can talk about what we want to.
Oh, absolutely. That's my little like, hey, basically saying that nicer. Like saying like, this is our podcast. This is what's going on. That's why we're talking about it, because when this comes out, it's literally election day. And we hope that you go out and vote. Period. Just period. Especially if you're a woman. Like, I unfortunately know a lot of women that are not choosing to vote. And it's extremely discouraging for me to not want to like be like, give them a soapbox like spiel, like a spiel of what we have been through to get them the right to vote. So like, can you just like go vote? Like, can you just be cool and like go vote? Like,
honestly, this is going to be a controversial take, but like, if you're a woman and you're going to vote for Trump, just stay home.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. Like, after hearing everything that he said and that JD Vance has said, the things they have been caught on camera and leaked, like the audio recordings that get leaked, like the shit that they say, they literally say they might clean it up really nice in a debate, but they're literally caught on tape saying things. And if you think that you will somehow be an exception to all of that bullshit, you're a fool. I'm sorry, you're a fool. People like that will not make exceptions for you. They will only make exceptions for their very wealthy family members, and that's only to save face.
Oh, for sure.
You will die too.
Do people think that there'll be an exception?
I think that it's not like a widely talked about thing, but it's this thing that I've seen with conservative women, conservative white women especially. It's like, they can see all this shit and agree that it's awful, but until it actually affects them, they think it won't happen to them.
Oh, right. Okay. That makes sense.
But there is also there have been women online that have like aligned themselves with conservative views and like basically been kind of pick-me-ish to kind of get clout amongst conservative guys. And then they're shocked that the conservative guys treat them like shit, even though they're espousing the same kind of ideologies. They really think that they're the exception.
Oh.
And they're not.
No. My God.
Like, I am not new to this shit. I grew up in a household like this. Yeah. I know exactly how these people think. I know that it is as bad. Their ideals are as bad as you think. And they can actually be worse. So don't kid yourself into thinking that it's all just blown out of proportion and it's not as bad as everyone's making it out to be. Right. It's worse.
This is so true, because you did grow up in this environment. I think that's why we are so different in this area, because like this is real life for you. Like this is real life. Like I'm impacted by their policies to this day, right? Because of my body. But you grew up with these types of individuals, with these ideals, and had like direct impact from this.
You would not believe the things that I have heard. And I am going to just leave that at that, because at the end of the day, the people that I've heard this stuff from are family members, and I have to leave it at that. Right. But it's also how I was raised. Like my parents did raise me to be politically savvy. I didn't turn out the way that they wanted me to, but they raised me and really impressed upon me the importance of being aware of the world around you and staying in the loop with stuff like this. And that it is like, it's kind of like your responsibility as an adult to do that. And that is something that I agree with. It's, you know, growing up with someone that is very intense in their own beliefs, like he impressed upon me, like, if you're going to believe in something, you need to believe in it wholeheartedly. Like, you need to be willing to die for it.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like you don't actually believe in it. And it's like, yeah, that's fucked up. But at the same time, if push comes to shove, it may come to that. And it's like, do you believe it or not? Essentially.
Right. Which, like, I don't think our beliefs are that radical, to be honest. Like,
No.
anti-genocide, hot take, body autonomy, hot take. Like,
that's the thing that,
wow.
That's the thing that incenses me about it, is like, these are not radical positions at all. Like, at all.
Right.
Like, I would, it's like what would put a Victorian child in a coma. Like, living in Europe and being exposed to real left-wing parties would put an American conservative in a coma.
Oh, I'm sure.
It just would.
Yeah.
Because it's like actually leftist, like actually running on a platform of like seizing the means of production.
Dude, Americans couldn't even stay inside during like a literal pandemic. They were like, this is fake. We're going outside. Like, the minimum was to wear a mask, and they were like, you're not going to take my rights. And it's like, you can barely even handle a mask. Like,
yeah.
Sweetie. My God.
They just, I feel like everyone in America thinks that they're Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games, but they're really all the people that are just partying at the Capitol and are like, oh, we don't care. Whatever. Right. Like, you're not a revolutionary. You're someone with a cell phone and like you like to play video games. Let's be real. Like, I'm not any different, but I'm not going to kid myself into thinking that I'm going to save the world, because it just doesn't work that way.
Right. Well, we don't have
the power of community. Yeah.
I was gonna say, we don't have the numbers. We don't have the numbers. And I think that's why like the third party movement fails, is because of the numbers. Like, TikTok has the power to really change that. We've seen TikTok's power of bringing people together. And I think for like a minute, it was for a minute there, third party was really gearing. It was really moving. And then it was like Kamala Harris got the nomination. And then like, of course, you weigh the likelihood at that point, like, all right, you know, and this one, because it was part of the two party, like, she wins like the vote.
It's intentionally designed for third parties for it to be extremely hard for a third party to break into like mainstream politics.
Right.
The whole system is set up for it to be that difficult. And both parties have spent decades keeping all of us poors fighting with each other and dividing us and pushing individualism as like a concept and as like a moral way of living. Like, we have the numbers, but we're so divided, we don't realize that we have the numbers, and we're over here simping for billionaires instead.
Yeah.
It's like, wake up. Look what happened with the longshoremen, the people that work at the port. It took what, a week? If that. All they had to do was go on strike, and everyone was out here panicking and buying toilet paper and acting like the world was going to end. And they went on strike, and just like every other major strike, they got what they wanted in a few days. Because when push comes to shove, we have the ruling class by the balls, and they know it, and that's why they keep us separate.
Yeah. Let me hit it with a yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. That's why, like, I love my friend Danielle. Like, it's like, I think his Instagram's like Color We Crazy. He's so big on community. Yeah. He's so big on community and the power of it, right? Like, and it's so true, because you're right. Like, capitalism feeds off our individuality. It feeds off of it. It gives us insecurities about it. It gives us like fears of community, right? Like, but there's so much power in it.
Yeah.
Like, I totally agree. I love that.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked up the United States' chart. I'm wondering where Pluto is. Because
Pluto was in Capricorn.
No.
Yeah, the United States Pluto was in Capricorn, and from 2008 onward, whenever it went into Capricorn,
Oh, yeah. That
what
was
started all of that.
Yeah, I'm talking about where it's going to be, what house it's going to be in for the United States now that it's moving into Aquarius, because we're talking about like revolution.
Yeah.
If there's an astrologer, like a hardcore astrologer that's like listening, can you comment this? Because I really don't want to look it up, to be honest. I mean, I will probably after we're done recording because I'm just curious. But if we have any astrologers that have been in the game for like 20 years, let me know. Because you got two little look, Haley's doing it right now. Haley's doing it right now. I was gonna say, Haley and I
got to know.
We're not newbies. Like, we've been in this game, but not for 20 years. Like, I like baby.
Yeah.
I'm baby pro astrologer. A year in. Nailed it.
Nailed it. So proud of you though for doing the thing. Ugh, this chart. How the fuck am I supposed to read this? Let's see. Aquarius. I'm bad with the symbols. Aquarius is the little squiggly things, right?
The two on top.
Yep. Okay.
Meow.
Sagittarius. Looks like we're Sagittarius rising, so Aquarius is third house.
Okay.
If I'm reading this, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think third house is communication. Let me see.
Yeah, it is, because fourth house is related to family, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, hold on. Great. And I'm like, let me see. Hold on one moment, please. As we're fucking, excuse my French. I'm trying not to cuss as much, which is really weird.
Yeah, why are you trying to do that?
I don't know. Yeah, nailed it. Third house is communication.
Nice job.
Love it. Okay.
It is gonna be interesting how that plays out. Like, I've definitely seen videos about how the transits in 2025, like with the outer planets, are gonna be interesting, to say the least.
I'm excited about it because Pluto's like, it's about death and rebirth, like we all know that, but when it is with Aquarius, it's like that innovation and revolution. I'm like, okay, like maybe because it's gonna be there for 20 years, so maybe the next go around we can get the numbers and we can start a what's that song, start a revolution? What is it? All I see is a commercial in my head.
I'm not sure what song you're I'm not sure what song you mean.
There's a song about like something about start a revolution. Oh God, it's killing me. I don't know what it is, but maybe that will happen. You know, something.
I think it's closer than we think.
I think so too. I think that's why I'm hopeful.
Yeah,
I'm a very big hopeful girly pop because looking at in totality history, things have gotten better.
Yeah.
Even though we're going through a lot, right? Like, and also remember, those that are listening, this is from the perspective of someone that lives in the United States. So that's why I say that. Like, obviously, what's been going on in Palestine, no one's being like, it's gotten better, right? Like, take this with a grain of salt. Like, I am a person of privilege living in the United States, and that's why I say that. Like, that's where my perspective comes from before it gets heated in here.
Why are you always worried that there's going to be a fight?
I don't think that there's going to be a fight, but I think like I'm big on like coming from that heart-centered place, and like I understand that my perspective comes from a place of like privilege, and I think that's important to like acknowledge that when I make such a blanket statement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I just don't know if we need to. I don't know if you need to do it every time you make a blanket statement.
I will try to get better.
In the same episode.
I'll try to get better.
Okay.
Everybody. Yeah.
I know you're coming from a good place. It comes off like you're afraid to be canceled, which like I get, but at the same time,
Oh,
it
yeah,
is
no.
what it is.
It's
gonna be what it's gonna be.
It's gonna be what's gonna be. We had that. I had that slip up that one episode, and I had to work through that. I think the cancel thing comes from like I always have really good intentions, and then like remember it was like a couple years ago when I had that incident with that individual, and I had really good intentions, and I ended up hurting that individual.
Yeah,
And that like that really, really taught me that like your intentions can be seriously like such a good place, like such a good place. But when you hurt someone, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so now I'm like, all right, like, yo, like I can't avoid us being canceled. Like, honestly, it is what it is. But I like to make the statements where I know that I did everything I can to clearly state how I felt and why I felt that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
It's I hear what you're saying, and I think that it's not a bad way to move through the world. I think in this specific instance, talking on this podcast, there will be people that are just committed to misunderstanding us.
For sure.
So I'm like, we don't need to apologize for everything that we say or like clarify that, because we could clarify and explain till the cows come home. And there will people be like, yeah, well, fuck you, fatties.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
we've experienced that with just like talking about our own fat experiences. So like,
Yes.
well, and I'm like, this, I literally live it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like, like, you know what I mean? Because like,
Yes.
and I've even like when I've listened to past episodes, like this is just common with podcasters. Like you're just like, oh, cringe, Sam. You know what I mean? Like, wow, like you should run that back. You should revisit that episode. But it's like, no, like in that moment, like I said what I said and I meant what I said.
Yeah.
Because like we grow all the time, you know? So it's like, this was already like for me, a scared episode to do because I am not as deeply passionate about politics as you are. I do care about politics. I do keep up with it, but I also like I wasn't raised in the environment you were raised in, so like I was raised from a privilege point, you know, of like a very like accepting democratic household where it was like, you know what I mean, like honestly like very kind of like liberal, like so for me I'm like it will be fine, like, you know, and it's like no, like you don't know what I've seen like, and I'm like yeah, you're right.
I really do have hope that it will be fine. The polls are a little too close for my comfort, but I am trying to be hopeful and optimistic, but I like the last two elections I have been shitting bricks both times. And you know, you just never know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be positive, but I also feel like as white women, it's easy. It's easy for white women to kind of not be political.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's expected for us. Like, I feel like even how we're conditioned to act in society, like being political is kind of like the antithesis of that, because you're not really supposed to make waves or like have a hard stance about something.
Right.
And I feel like it makes people uncomfortable whenever women do feel that way.
For sure. Oh my gosh. We were talking about this in the garden. Dr. D, she came on and she was talking about ancestral healing, and she was talking about like her perspective as a Black woman, like the like stereotype of being like an angry Black woman is just like Black women speaking.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, yeah, like we, even as like white women, like the minute you're like, hey, I feel this way about politics, they're like, wow, fucking liberal.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, and then like a Black woman's like, I think this way about politics, and they're like, oh my god, can you calm down? It's like, what the fuck? But like you're breaking shit, Joe, from a football game, and everyone's like okay with it, like you're like breaking your TVs and stuff, like what are you talking about?
Exactly.
What is happening?
I think honestly, hearing the perspectives and experiences of women of color and learning more about that and just kind of like not taking into account only myself and only things that will affect me when it comes to politics really helped me a lot in that regard, because it's like, you know, I can decenter my whiteness from politics, you know.
Right.
It's easy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to just kind of be like, oh, whatever, like most of the stuff won't affect me. But literally any woman of color, any person of color, they cannot, it is as a parent, like they walk into a room, that is like the first thing people see. To say that, like, say things like you don't see color or anything like that is like you're denying their existence. And
Yeah.
if they can't opt out of the things that affect them and the things that they could be subjected to because of a certain political party winning, you know, who am I to just be like, I just choose not to worry about it?
Right.
It was like once that clicked, like I can't see it any other way.
Oh, for sure. Which is why like not choosing to vote in a two-party system is just, like like that's what it breaks down to. Like, do we want there to be a third option? Of course we do.
Oh yeah, I
Are
would
we
love it.
God, are we gonna go with the second option? Of course we are. Of course we are. Like,
I would hope so, but it's,
God, I hope so.
there are a lot of people, and it's mostly white people, white people of all genders, that are like, if you are okay with voting for Kamala, it is, you're saying it's okay that the genocide is okay. And it's like, that is the most reductive and overly simplistic way that you could look at this election. But like, if that's how you feel, fine.
Right.
But it is not, that is not the only thing that is happening in the world, or even that we're a part of as, you know, citizens of the United States. And this is also not the first time that we have interfered in foreign activities. Like, my God.
Right.
I've the rabbit hole you could go down if you wanted to know.
No, I mean, absolutely. But also it's like, okay, let's go back to 2020. We have Joe Biden versus Trump. Genocide's still going on. Right?
Yeah,
that
it
was not a topic of conversation.
Right.
It was like, if you don't vote fucking blue, like, you are gonna lose your rights. Like, you're gonna, like, all this bad stuff's gonna happen. Like, you're like, you are pro-Trump. You're like, and it was like, everyone always has this like cut and dry statement that they make when it comes to like your morality. And it's so gray right now. Like, it really is so gray, and it's so difficult to navigate this decision. Like, when I say decision, I mean like to vote blue or to vote their party, or to not vote at all, not to vote red. I think we've made it very clear that we're not
I would hope so.
I really hope so. And we are not the only ones. Like, you know what I mean? But it's, my ending statement, I think, about that is like, okay, I have a responsibility to the people that I care about and I love, to give them the option for improvement, instead of knowing, if you vote red, what they have planned, what they have outwardly said, their belief system, their views on people of color, women,
queer people,
impoverished people. Like, the list literally goes on and on.
If you think it is hard to get politicians to change now, wait until a second Trump presidency and see how much harder it is, because you won't be able to speak out against people like that. You will be hurt. You could be put in jail. The things that they want to accomplish, like right out the gate from Project 2025, are terrifying. And that alone, like, I'm not saying you should stomach a genocide. It's fucking wrong.
Right.
But if you want any hope of stopping it, there's really only one choice.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And it, like, I am not saying that as someone who's like a diehard Kamala fan.
Right.
Not crazy about her. However, like, it's like, I don't know, it's like choosing a lit match versus like a burning home, and it's like, I wonder which one's safer.
Right. Unfortunately. Yeah. You're like, I'm like,
it is unfortunately.
But I think that also, like, it doesn't have to, like, just because you vote blue and, like, you're like, you feel like I have just like agreed with genocide. Like, one, that's just not true. That's just not true. Everyone voting doesn't agree with everything the political person stands for. Like, you know what I mean? And also, like, you don't just have to be like, well, that's it. That's my time with, there's nothing else I can do to help. Like, that's so not true.
Right.
And I'll put some resources in the bio to help free Palestine. Like, we've made it very clear how we feel about that. For you guys to research and read and donate. There are other options. Like, there's other ways to help. Like, and like,
it is. The thing that gets me about it, like, take stock of how you felt when you voted for Biden in 2020. Remember how you felt when you voted for Hillary in 2016. Maybe you're someone that was okay with both of those. Both times, I unfortunately held my nose and I did what needed to be done. I slept fine. The thing that helped me understand the nuance of this a little bit more is the fact that, like, being president is inherently an immoral job. Whether it should be or not is not the question. It really shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, with that in mind, which immoral person is better?
Right. And it's also not just about voting for the president. Like,
no.
Every time that you have the opportunity to vote for a House of Representatives, anything like that, like
local elections,
like, make the change there, because that, what feels like something small, is so huge. It's so big. That's where the change actually is going to make, like, a huge impact. So yes, today, as you go and vote in this two-party system shit, and you vote blue, let's just take a deep breath and do what we have to do, and then continue to fight for what we believe in when it comes to literal basic human rights.
Yeah. Let's get her in office, and then we can bully her to do better.
Right. And no, we were not paid to make this content. My God.
I wish.
I was going to say, could you imagine? Like, that's so big on TikTok right now, of, like, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party paying, like, thousands of dollars, like $50,000. Like, my God. And people are like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm like, write the check, dog. Write the check.
I would do it if I could still be as unhinged as I am for anything else that I post.
For sure.
If I could, like, make one post and still, like, make one right afterwards and be like, yeah, I took the check. I think she's the better choice, but here's how she's got me fucked up.
Right. But but also, like, could you imagine using that check for actual, like, to actually
literally
people,
taking it and donating it to Palestinian, like, mutual aid funds and things like that? Yeah.
My God. Like, getting eSIMs, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the real impact, instead of just being like, here's my video.
Yeah. Literally. Or, like, donating food to soup kitchens, or, like, there's so many things that you could use that money for.
Oh my God, for sure. I think I'm going to be hopeful and say, like, influencers are doing that, especially the ones that are so, like, they have, like, an advocacy platform. Like, that is what they're, we don't, obviously. I made, like, 3 videos about it, and then it just feels, every time I do it, it feels so unauthentic. So I am out in the real world. Like, I'm doing November, like, actual doing, like, free tarot readings for donations for families affected by Helene. Like, that's how I sleep at night, is knowing that, like, I don't have to make social media content. I mean, I promote my stories, but, like, being like, hey, like, I'm out here at this benefit, like, that's what I need to do. But you need to find what's right for you, the person that's listening to this. Like,
there are so many ways that you can help, and spreading the word is great. There's a lot of value in that, because that's how I learn about a lot of the things that I know now about like the world and the political system is by someone posting about it.
Yeah.
But that can't be it.
Right. It has
You
to,
know?
yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. It has to go further than that.
I think doing donation-based readings and like giving that money to people in need, like I think that that's an excellent way to use like your abilities and your audience for the greater good.
Oh,
Hurricane Helene and all that other shit, anything connected to FEMA is another reason
for sure.
to vote. Because
God, yeah.
remember in 2017 when Trump let Puerto Rico basically fend for itself after that hurricane. I can't remember the name of the hurricane. It came through and decimated the whole place. They're still recovering.
Yep.
And he was basically like, thoughts and prayers. That's it. So if you want FEMA to have more funding, you need to vote. And you need to bully your politicians to get more funding too. Because all the politicians need to do a better job.
For sure. Yeah, they said what they said.
That's right.
Yeah. And also, for any intuitives watching this, if you're doing donation-based readings and you're taking that money directly, I don't trust you. I'm a little
How do you handle it?
They have to send me a receipt of like a screenshot of a receipt, like if it's online.
Ooh, okay.
That they donated with their name and like what they donated and like stuff like that, because like
that's smart.
Yeah, dude, I fell victim, my God. Not Jesus, that's such a weird statement. I feel weird about it because like remember that big it was huge on TikTok, and it was like in 2020 or 2021, and they were trying to stop the pipeline going through indigenous lands.
Yeah.
And there was a creator who was like, I'm on the ground. Like, I need you to send me like funds, and, we're going to get supplies and help the people. And so I did like I raffled off a necklace that was like a meteorite, a very rare meteorite. Actually, it was like a meteorite. It had Libyan desert glass and moldavite, and it was super expensive. It was
I remember that.
You remember that? And I was like,
I remember that necklace.
So all the funds went to them. Like, I did the same thing I do now. Like, they bought, they sent me a screenshot of them donating, and I trusted this individual that they were going to like share the funds. And it turned out like they didn't. It was like a huge controversy. It came out like that they were like keeping funds and they weren't sharing, and they weren't like whatever.
Wow.
I mean, it's all like can't be proven, of course.
Yeah.
I'm not in the same area. So now it's like, okay, like even with this like Helene thing, when I go do readings, it's like a bunch of hairstylists, eyebrow artists, and other tooth gem artists and stuff like that. Like they all got together, and I just hopped on the bandwagon. I'll be honest. I was like, I want to be a part of this, and they were like, yeah, girl, come down. You have to buy a ticket to go, and so then that will be doing that. It will like go to, the Asheville. And stuff like that. So that's kind of what I do now when it's in person. And then when it's online, I'm like, all right, send me a screenshot that you like donated,
Right.
And I can't help if they do a chargeback. That's on their karma. But yeah, I don't donate. I'm not about like send cash at me. Like, no, dude. Like,
yeah,
no.
That's also, I can see how, like, because I didn't even think about how people would take advantage of that. Like, I know that they do, but I would think that it would make more sense to collect everything and make one big donation, but that also, you would have to keep track of the receipts. You would have to continue to post receipts as people paid you. Like, that is a lot. It is easier just to have them pay.
Yeah, just pay directly. Send it directly to the organization that like we'll put. So I'm going to put in the bio, Sam, here's a note, reminder, Free Palestine resources, which you have, and then FEMA resources. Okay, got it, editor. So let's give some tips as we end the episode on how to navigate today with families of differing parties, as well as Thanksgiving. So the holidays are coming up. My number one tip is, if you know that politics, like you have to be around these people. You don't have the privilege of like going no contact or whatever. If you know that politics is a hot topic, like you're going to fight, and they try to talk about politics, say, hey, if you bring this up again, I'm leaving.
Yep.
That's the best tip I have. Like, you can't stop them from talking about it, but your boundary can be, if you bring this up with me, I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm. A middle ground tip that I practice, if the conversation starts, I leave the room.
Yeah.
If you aren't ready to like full go on like guns blazing and be like, I'm out of here and go get in your car, try that first.
Try that first.
Tell them, don't just like silently get up and walk out of the room.
Right.
But, you know, set the boundary and, you know, do what you need to do to protect yourself.
Yes.
That's really all you can do. And unfortunately, I don't have any advice on how to get people like that to change their mind, because if I could, I would by now. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work because here's the thing, guys. You cannot argue with a belief system.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. They will not hear you because it's so rooted in their identity, in their foundation as a person. That is the same thing of an atheist sitting down with a Christian. Like, they're going to go round and round and round and round because they're both fighting each other's belief systems. And that's just not something that you can force someone to change. They have to change for themselves. They have to go through it, you know, and if they choose to have an awakening or whatever you call it, like, they have to experience it themselves. So if you know that today you and someone you love, a family member, a friend, have very differing belief systems, don't even engage. There's no point. It will literally just end in a fight.
I was laughing because I'm like, oh, Christianity versus atheism. Oh, another thing I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
God, but you're right. It's another aspect is like, you cannot, the thing that gets me wrapped into it is because I want to believe that people like that, like, they're just poorly informed. They literally just don't know. And I'm like, here's all of this information. I will lay it out for you and break it down into digestible little pieces. And they'll be like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
They don't care about the facts. They just don't.
No, because to them, fake news.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it goes against their belief system. And you literally, someone that has like gone to college for politics, been in politics for 30 years, right, could sit in front of them.
And they wouldn't care.
It would not change them. It would not change them, unfortunately. But having that conversation with someone that is not of age to vote could.
Yeah.
I really respect people that are like elder siblings, cousins, that are trying to impact the household with their beliefs, like, and really make a difference. I know Brian's sister really helped him as he was growing up. Like, she really taught him individuality and stuff like that. And without her, he would not be the same person. So unfortunately, if you're the older sibling, that torch goes to you of being like, hey, let's talk when they're like, you know what I mean?
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. We're just, all we can do is our best.
Oh my God.
What?
Can you hear that in the background?
Is that Goose?
No, that is my Democratic husband testing his guns. Because we're
Inside?
we're going to the shooting range for his birthday on Thursday. He was unloading the shotgun.
Well, only one way to do that. Loud and proud, baby.
Loud and proud, baby. Like, my God. All I hear is like, Kamal Harris, like, I got a Glock.
I know. Your firearm safety is very important, people.
Firearm safety is very important, and that's what he's doing right now. So, what a great way. I bet someone listening to this is going to be like, what the fuck?
I hope they say, what the fuck, I have more to learn, and turn to Google.
For sure. I hope so, too. Yeah, that's... God, we should have an episode about guns. Anyways, all right.
Sure.
So... yeah, because both of us are not anti-gun, so I think that's such like a weird, because we're both like vote blue and like we're kind of liberal, kind of liberal.
If you go far enough left, you get your guns back. That's all I'll say.
You know what? Banger. We're out of here, guys. Where can they find us, Hayley?
You can find us on the FBI watch list at the plus size section. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads at plus size section, on TikTok at the plus size section. If you want to send us any stories or email us about anything, you can do that at the plus size section at gmail.com. And as always, we would love it if you would like this post or this, like the shit, like our podcast, share our podcast, like our content. If you see it though, be sick.
Be sick.
So sick, dude.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.